Trump's biggest victory yet against Jack Smith at the Supreme Court. And they didn't even decide anything yet, and he already won just by them agreeing to look at his immunity case. I have a great article here from my favorite writer, Julie Kelly, on the subject. We'll be doing a whole lot of shows on this, so get used to it, because this is the most significant thing to affect Trump's election this coming November that has happened up to this point, probably since Fani Willis first indicted him and we got that mugshot out of him. This is the second biggest item yet and the biggest victory. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is where the happy patriots are. I hope you'll subscribe and join us. You're getting me over 400,000 subscribers. But you know, if all of you just subscribed and notified your bell who watched this show, I'd probably be well over 500,000 subs. That's how you pay me. That's how I get my happy time. Let's read the article though together. I'll kind of give you the big overview of why the timing is everything. This puts all of the timing favorably in Trump's lap and puts Jack Smith, he's probably crying somewhere, to his therapist, his new age, fortune-telling, crystal-covered therapist. He's probably crying in the corner to they, them right now. Here's the article. This is declassified with Julie Kelly. Supreme Court to consider presidential immunity case in J6 case, DC trial date indefinitely postponed. Did you hear that? That means it pushes everything back. It pushes Chutkan back. She's screwed on this thing. There's going to be now a different kind of conflict in the timing between Alvin Bragg's New York Stormy Daniels case, which is a big nothing, and Judge Aileen Cannon's documents case are really all that's left now. Here's the subheading. The court will hear oral arguments the week of April 22nd to consider the unprecedented manner. In an order published Wednesday afternoon, the U.S. Supreme Court announced it will consider Trump's opposition to lower court rulings rejecting his claims of presidential immunity from criminal prosecution in special counsel Jack Smith's 4-count indictment against the former president related to the events of January 6th and his alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election. So the question was, will the Supreme Court hear it? Yes, they just agreed to hear it. That's the big deal. That's been going on since December. Okay, so Trump is buying all of this time by saying, hey, I've got immunity. You can't touch me. Here's the actual legal document. This says Wednesday, February 28th, certiorari granted. Trump, Donald Trump J. versus the United States. The application for a stay presented to the Chief Justice is referred by him to the court. The special counsel's request to treat the stay application as a petition for a writ of certiorari is granted, and that petition is granted limited to the following question: whether, if so too, what extent does a former president enjoy presidential immunity from criminal prosecution for conduct alleged to involve official acts during his tenure in office? Without expressing a view on the merits, this court directs the Court of Appeals to continue withholding issuance of the mandate until the sending down of the judgment of this Supreme Court. The application for stay is dismissed as moot. Now, all that's saying is that Jack Smith, he wants them to weigh in on this. Does Trump have a right on that January 6th day when he questioned the election results? Does Trump have a right to do that? And if he does he have immunity? Is he covered with being able to state an opinion? And if he doesn't have immunity, under the presidency, which is traditional, usually the president can do almost anything. And remember, this is where that 3 panel of judges who was a total leftist said, are you saying that SEAL Team 6 can take out the president's opponent and he'd still have immunity? And that was the question. And that's how the Democrats try to push it. Like, he's got immunity. No, he probably doesn't have that kind of immunity. But does he have immunity to say, I question the results, I don't like the results? That seems legal to me. The announcement represents the start of the high court's involvement in a question of historic proportion. And the schedule set out by the court, in addition to an existing hold on trial proceedings in Washington, drastically diminishes the chances that the special counsel can bring the case to trial by November. So Jack Smith's November push has just failed, let alone produce an election impacting verdict before election day. So that was Jack Smith's goal. He wanted a verdict that would impact the election. Specifically, he wanted to prove that Trump was a criminal, and that's not going to happen. So he just lost. And there's no way the Democrats could have known that this kind of delay would happen. And that's Trump's legal team that put in this immunity claim that was brilliant. So this is Trump's team doing what's right, but they properly delayed this thing. And that's always been his best shot at this thing, is to push for a delay, and he got that. Smith handed down the grand jury indictment in August of 23 last summer. In October, Trump's lawyers filed a motion to dismiss the case based on claims of presidential immunity. Quote, breaking 234 years of precedent, the incumbent administration, that is the Bidens, has charged President Trump for acts that lie not just within the outer perimeter, but at the heart of his official responsibilities as president, his attorneys wrote. Because remember, Trump was trying to protect the election by saying we need to make sure that the votes are counted and the votes are correct. So he's trying to do a presidential duty. And the Democrats are trying to say, no, that is insurrection. You must go to jail. You must be tried. You must get kicked off the ballot. Julie Kelly continues. Judge Tanya S. Chutkan, appointed by Barack Obama in 2014 and known for handing down some of the harshest sentences in January 6th cases of our January 6th Patriots, issued her history-making decision on December 1st. Denying Trump's motion, insisting the sacred American tradition of peacefully transitioning presidential power stood unbroken until January 6, 2021. Chutkan concluded that, quote, nothing in American history justifies the absolute immunity of Donald Trump seeks. That was her claim. So she's a lower court in D.C. And that's really what pushes, that really is what pushed it up to the Supreme Court. They have to go in and say, look, you're saying he can't do this. You know, we don't know how they're going to respond. I believe they will vindicate Trump. She continued, this is Chutkan continued, quote, against the weight of that history, defendant Trump argues, in essence, that because no other former presidents have been criminally prosecuted, it would be unconstitutional to start now. So this is weird because Trump's citing precedent, which is what Democrats usually say. Is they go like, hey, stare decisis says, but that is, it's been decided. If Roe v. Wade was decided back in 1973, and even if it's wrong, it must stand even if it's wrong because of precedent. And Trump's team goes and cites precedent, and Chutkan's going, no precedent, throw it a stare decisis, stare decisis. But while a former president's prosecution is unprecedented, so too are the allegations that a president committed the crimes with which defendant is charged. The Supreme Court has never immunized presidents, much less former presidents, from judicial process, merely because it was the first time that process has been necessary. The court will not do so here. That's Chutkan. So Chutkan is first of all, a hypocrite, because they don't believe any of the words they say. They're just like, look, we got to get rid of Trump. He can't win. Trump appealed her order a few days later on December 13th. Chutkan put a hold on her own ruling pending that appeal. I actually think Chutkan is much more reasonable than Jack Smith. You know, she's a legit judge. Jack Smith is an appointee of Merrick Garland that many argue was an illegal appointment because it never got passed through the Senate. So, you know, Chutkan's at least trying to pretend to be a judge, even though she's obviously a flaming Marxist. Not as bad as some people, but bad. Realizing the clock was running down, Smith at the same time made what he described as an extraordinary request by asking the Supreme Court to leapfrog over the appellate court, the next natural step in the process, and take up the immunity question immediately, because Jack Smith's in a rush going, go, come on, Supreme Court, we got to move on this. Quote, it is of imperative public importance that Trump's claims of immunity be resolved by the court and that Trump's trial proceed as promptly as possible if his claim of immunity is rejected, unquote, Smith wrote in a panic December 18th with blood splatter all over the document and sweat dripping down his face as he was shaking violently, furious that the Supreme Court wasn't politicized enough to speed things along, keeping America safe for yet another generation. By the way, I got to remind you real quick, this Supreme Court is good. Why? Partially because as Mitch McConnell steps down, just remember, don't hate on the guy too much, because Mitch McConnell kept Merrick Garland, who's now the Department of Justice us as Trump's main corrupt bagman. Mitch McConnell is the one who kept Merrick Garland from being on the Supreme Court. Thank you, Mitch McConnell. Good, now retire in peace, go away. But guys, you gotta thank the guy for that. That was a killer. The court denied his request several days later. Nonetheless, the DC court expedited Trump's case, holding oral arguments less than a month after his appeal was filed. So he did speed things up. A 3-judge panel consisting of 2 Biden appointees and 1 George H.W. Bush appointee led a contentious hearing on January 9th. Judge Florence Pan, that's the one, it's not her, it's Florence.
Look, Florence, we don't need your 2 cents.
Pan, she's the one. Won kudos from the left-wing media and cable news legal analysis for presenting an absurd hypothetical about a president using SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a presidential rival. That was the 11. Would he still be immune if he did that? If he used SEAL Team 6, would he have that level of immunity? I just want to know if Trump is proven to have immunity. When does he? Now, guys, please, I'm joking. I don't really mean assassination, but do you think Trump would take SEAL Team 6 and have them take out Biden? Democrats would do it, by the way, if they had that kind of immunity. And by the way, this is why a president has to have a broad form of immunity while he's president. Because otherwise, as soon as Biden got out of office, Trump could indict Biden under his office for opening up the border and say, look, under your term, you opened up the border. All these illegals came in. You defied your oath to the Constitution. You committed treason. You must be impeached, jailed. You were paid to do so. You could just go any deal that he did with Ukraine or China under his presidency. He could go to jail and just be in big trouble. Fined. We could also go after his family. Is that the country you want? The Democrats want that country because they have a confidence that they're jaded. They believe that the corruption is going to win. So they go, look, we better start siding with the corrupt. It's Saruman joining Sauron. He goes, look, man, the time of goodness is over.
We must join with him, Gundam. We must join with Sauron.
And we are patriots, guys. We don't give up on America. America needs us. There's still good worth fighting for. That's what keeps you from going into despair.
But there's some good in this world, Mr. Fertile, and it's worth fighting for.
It needs you and I to happily smile, march, vote, fight for what's right, guys. We don't give up. I don't want to hear in the comments below. You're allowed to say it, but there's always some guy there going, nothing will be done. Nothing will be done. It's too late. Throw up your hands in despair, like Denethor, set himself on fire and runs off of the cliff.
So passive.
After trying to burn his own son. We don't do that. Gandalf says, fight!
Please live for your life! Prepare for battle!
The happy warriors, guys. We do not give up. Everyone's been calling me for the last 6 months just going, Doug, I'm in despair. Trump's being hit. All these lawsuits are against him. The lawfare is going to get him. I go, no, our confidence comes from the red hot, warm, beating heart of the American patriot. We're still here. Our old people, my audience, my 65 and up audience, they're old and they're just saying, no, we're holding on. We're fighting for Trump. We're praying for Trump. We're rooting for America. We're rooting for the law. We're against this corruption. We're fighting this corruption. Do not give up, guys. America is worth staying with. Keep your head in the game. Practice good tactics. Do not follow stupid conspiracies off to Mars that get you to fight the wrong battles. This is a huge win for Trump at the Supreme Court. I'm Doug in Exile. Like, subscribe, share. I really need you guys on my team. Let's go.